Russia was just attacked, as many of you know, but there's a lot more that we have to look into. Now, news is disseminating very fast in terms of footage, raw footage, as well as analysis, and it's being accelerated because of citizen journalists like myself and many others that are doing this type of work. And so I want to go and break down some of the things that have happened so far, because the mainstream media, quite frankly, they're not cutting it. They're suggesting things that's in some sense outlandish, and we're all seeing past that. And we're at this point wanting true news and footage that represents what's really going on. And because we've learned from the last 6-7 years that we're not to take news at face value, we're looking beyond what's at the superficial level, what people are saying, what they're claiming, what the footage is showing, what else is out there. And we're allowing, in some sense, the dust to settle so that we could see what's going on beyond what they say in the first couple of days. And so let's go through some timeline of events, and then I'll do some analysis myself. And so a lot of people have already been speaking in part about this, but I have just sort of put this together. So the first thing I want to show you very quickly is this very graphic video that's going viral that a lot of people are censoring, and YouTube and other places, they're showing bits and pieces of it. And so I want to make a disclaimer that viewer discretion is advised when you're watching this. And so I'm going to just speed it up so that you just see it quickly. But basically, you're just seeing raw footage of people literally getting slaughtered. And this is all over. And there's many other videos like this. But this one channel that I follow gives a lot of good news in terms of raw content. This is not like, it's not filtered. There's no things behind it in terms of how to project the narrative and all that stuff. It's just showing you raw footage from lots of people on the scene and directly out of Russia. And so I've been following this account specifically in terms of the Ukraine stuff and so many other things. But you can see that it's reposting things that people have talked about in Ukraine. So again, there's this, right? And so I had a chance to see basically the dome, many other things, a lot of the response here. And this is also where I saw the basically the capture of these guys. So I want to move just quickly to Twitter, because Twitter has some very good information that people have been disseminating. A lot of journalists are doing a great job in terms of giving objective information as well as analyzing it. So just quickly, let's look at this. So Putin made a response basically suggesting that the terrorists had been helped by Ukraine, and that all 4 perpetrators who were involved were basically found and apprehended. They were on their way to the border of Ukraine, and basically the data suggests that there was movement within Ukraine. There's some intelligence that Putin is talking about that basically is suggesting there's more than meets the eye. And of course, the news from the mainstream media is painting, and you can read all of this, is painting it as suggesting a baseless sort of involvement in terms of Ukraine. So again, they've said the same thing with Hunter Biden. They've said the same thing with Trump at the elections, and just the Russia hoax, the Mueller investigation. So we know where this is leading, right? This guy, as much as you may like or dislike him, he has some kind of information from inside the Kremlin that is showing certain information. Now you can believe it, you could not. You could also look at this as a strategy in terms of projecting his message to get certain things out there. Whatever it is, it's not to be taken at face value, right? And so there's this response, and then we had President Zelensky of Ukraine saying that, he's coming out, talking about Putin. He's saying all these crazy things. This happened yesterday, and this complete worthless Putin, instead of caring for Russian citizens, addressing them, he stayed silent for a day, thinking about how to get Ukraine involved in this. And so it's all about not showing, a lot of it is not showing empathy about this, but to defend, and just say these guys are coming at us and all this stuff. And so you could watch that yourself. And then you're seeing people already analyze basically the whole situation, right? So basically people coming in, and this is fast, right? People coming out of their car, white car apparently, which was being tracked, going all the way through to this whole building. And then you can see they went through the whole area and they were on their way. This is where they were caught, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And so this is very good. And then you have other people showing the actual footage. There's tons of footage now coming out about capturing the first, second, third, fourth guy. And basically it came down to interrogating them some means a guy had his ear cut off. I won't show that, but I saw that as well in raw form back on the other channels in Telegram and other places. But basically saying, what's going on? They got paid 500,000 rubles, and these people that messaged them basically on Telegram without a name said that we can give you money, we can give you weapons, just do this. And so these guys were very desperate. They were from apparently Tajikistan, and they had passports. I think there's a footage here. They had misleading or fake IDs claiming that they were Ukrainian, but they had basically Tajik origin because they spoke Tajikistan, and people were translating this. And so a lot of this interrogation is up right now, and it's been one day, right? And these guys are basically singing like canaries. They were claiming they were recruited and just all these things, and it's clear that there's a higher entity that has basically organized all of this. So there's that, and then they have ISIS coming out, releasing several minutes and claiming basically claiming this whole thing as their own. So they were filming these guys going all the way through, and there's tons of footage out there already during last night's attack that they were shouting different things, like in Islamic extremist quotes regarding Christians, Allahu Akbar, and just many other things. Again, you can see the footage yourself, translated if you want, and all of that, but it's just crazy what they were saying and what they were going through. All right, so let's talk about some takeaways, who did it, what's next, and all of that stuff. So basically put this together just quickly. One thing that you've got to know at a spiritual level is that Satan is interrupting success. So what that means is that Putin was just elected president. How many times in the Bible do we see certain successful kings? 2 Corinthians 20 comes to mind, King Jehoshaphat, where after he was anointed king and he was reestablishing godly things, then all of a sudden these guys from all over wanted to come and attack him. And and there's many other kings that have this. But basically, once things are going well and once you are in a position of success, then Satan wants to interrupt that. And so from a spiritual perspective, you're seeing many things occurring right now across the world. And I've talked about this many times before, but we are in a process of a transition from the old guard to the new guard. And the old guard, the people that are these people in power that Satan has backed, Luciferian, Satan-worshipping people, they don't want to lose control. And so they want to cause division and chaos, and then have this projection so that they would control your mind into thinking who the real enemy is. They're causing chaos and confusion so that you would think that what is right is wrong and what is left is right and right is left. And this is what's happening right now. The second thing is that you've got to wait weeks. We all know what happens with news. Everything from the Israeli thing all the way to the Ukraine thing, all the way down to, from way before 9/11 and many other instances where we need to wait weeks before drawing conclusions because we want to let the dust settle. I know news is getting faster, but there's something else going on that we don't know, and people are waiting to make sure that the proper things are coming out, and we're letting everybody talk. Everyone's talking, everyone's saying whatever, presenting their evidence, presenting their findings, and then we're going to see what's what, right? So the same thing happened with the Russia-Ukraine. Everybody was demonizing Putin for quote-unquote invading Russia, but really Russia was helping Lugansk, Donetsk, and just this whole area in terms of liberating them from what was there. And then we come to find out about the bioweapons and the attacks on the crimes against humanity and all that stuff. So people are not going to believe that in the initial phases because they're just so caught up in the emotions of people losing their life, as opposed to having an objective, clear outlook on what really is going on. So again, this is a time to mourn and to show our support or condolences to the situation and the people, the innocent lives. But at the same time, there's something else going on for which, in some sense, if you want to say it's justified, there's a greater sort of benefit in terms of removing the threat of, let's say, a COVID 2.0 that was basically imminent, and they had to go and do a special military operation. And that was the narrative, right? That Putin was trying to counter the West at the time. And also many of my prophetic words and other people saying that Russia was going to territorially subjugate Ukraine and completely wipe them out, but we were countering that narrative. And the same is happening right now. The news is disseminating very fast, and people are seeing right through it. And they're saying, okay, let's look at this objectively. So this is what's happening now. And that's why X is so much faster right now for analysis than the mainstream media, because the mainstream media, they have red tape. They want to craft their narrative in a certain way. But X, as well as Telegram and many other places, they're quickly just disseminating the information. And they're just saying, this is what it is. Here's a video. And there's a lot of crowdsourced video. There's tons and tons of footage. And then we have to remember that there is a public optics war versus the real private war going on. So certain things you can't, as Q has said before, you can't just say certain things out loud. You can't just tell the whole world, hey, this is what's going on. Let me just be real honest with you, because there's a higher priority than just pure transparency, because you need to win the war. We're in a fifth dimensional warfare, and we are allowing us intentional disinformation and a psyops so that it would provoke or at least flush out certain things. So what Putin says, what Zelensky says, a lot of that, if you want to look at it as propaganda, if you want to look at it as truth-seeking justification, just many things, you have to look at it bigger, and the same goes for the mainstream media and many other countries. There's a bigger thing than what's being given at face value. Mainstream media will paint Putin badly. So this is the opportunity for him right now, for everybody saying that, oh, he's going to retaliate, it's going to be a huge mess, he's going to be a Hitler-esque loose cannon who wants nuclear war and global domination, and they're going to try to paint all of this. But Putin seems very poised, very logical in the face of evil. And so this is what's happening with regards to how they want to set up and demonize Russia and this whole area. Because if Russia falls, then the globalists, they win, right? So let's move on to who did it. So Putin suggests Ukraine did it, right? So he's just outright saying this. And again, you have to think about it this way. No matter what you think about Putin, whether you like him, you don't like him, Putin has intelligence within Russia that may suggest this or may not, or it could just be quote unquote baseless, like the media is saying. But when the media comes to a conclusion like, oh, Putin offers baseless conclusions that it was Ukraine, he's outright lying. Like, how do they know, right? They don't have access to the Kremlin's information, to the Russian database. Whatever really is being suggested is coming from Putin. And again, you can believe him or you don't, but you don't want to just believe the media, when again, they're trying to win a war, a propaganda war as well. And we're not going to get into this whole Ukraine debacle with the whole spending bill and just giving money and the money laundering and all that, but I've talked about that before. Many people have talked about that. But again, whether it's Ukraine or NATO and the US and other people, if you want to talk about and bring in the CIA, the intelligence agencies, Mossad, MI6, all that stuff, whatever it is, they could all be sharing the same globalist masters, because they want to, they share the same goal of defeating Russia by any means necessary. So again, he's suggesting maybe something more there than just Ukraine. ISIS claims responsibility. We've seen that as well. They're coming out, they're saying this. And again, who's to say that, and again, I'm not saying this is not true. We're trying to question everything. Who's to say that they were forced to do this or say it, or that somebody is falsely accusing ISIS so that there's justification for some kind of attack? We've seen things like 9/11 going into, Iraq, and just the Iran situation, just the Middle East, all of that, as well as even 10/11. What was 10/11? The Hamas attack on Israel. So people questioning the validity of that or not, or it is fully what it is, or Israel allowed it to happen. Whatever it is, something might be fishy there. And again, let's let the dust settle to see what's going on there. The other thing, as I mentioned, is the U.S., NATO, Ukraine, to force Putin to escalate. So who did this? Who orchestrated all of this? Could it be that somebody with a higher hand in power, as we've seen throughout the decades with this whole CIA stuff upending certain administrations in different countries? Are we seeing the same thing here to cause Putin and Russia to escalate to some kind of more violent World War III type of scenario, where they are strong-arming some of these guys in Ukraine, or the Tajik guys, the ISIS guys? I mean, there's got to be something else here. And I'm not saying this is who did it. I'm just giving the possibility of who may have done it, suggesting that any one of these guys could have done it. Also, it could have been Russia to justify some kind of strategic response in retaliation. So I'm not saying this is an inside job. I'm just laying out who all could have done it. And we have to let the dust settle. We have to use discernment, pray into it, and say what really is going on. Because if it is them, then they have, in some sense, from the world's eyes, the public optics, that there's a justification to do what would be what the U.S. did. The U.S. was attacked, and they went into the Middle East and said, hey, Osama bin Laden, Afghanistan, all this stuff, we're going to get you. We're going to get you. The same happened with Israel last year. This is very recent. They were attacked, and Israel said, you know what? Let's go in there, the Gaza Strip, let's take care of the Hamas guys and all that stuff. So, again, whether it's an actual attack and it's forcing justification for a response, or it was an inside job like it was allegedly by many people that believe it, like the 9/11 situation, that it was done so that we can go in there for oil and other things or whatever the whole justification was. And then fifth and lastly, an unknown entity for unknown reasons. So, I mean, who knows? We'll see what happens. But again, there is a difference in the public optics versus the private optics. What's next? America, what are they going to do? Well, what we're going to see is the mainstream media will increase the ranged evil image or evil leader image. So this whole aspect of look at what Putin's going to do. Oh, he's such a warmonger and blah blah blah, and they want to paint him in a certain light. But really, if you know and have seen him speak or how he conducts his country, and recently he put, I think, LGBTQ on the terror watch list and all of that, he is a man that God is using right now. And again, remains to be seen what he does in the future, and who he was in the past doesn't matter, but he's being used right now to clean up evil in some sense. So just like some of the non-Israelite kings in the Bible, they were used for big things. So again, let's see what happens. But America, for sure, the mainstream media, they will be painting him in a certain light. So be assured of that. More provocation to justify Ukraine spend in action. So if they're going to be scared about, oh, Putin's talking about Ukraine, then they're going to say, oh, we need to spend more to bolster defenses in Ukraine. So watch that happen. Russia, what are they going to do? They may retaliate. They may have this justification using 9/11 and 10/7 as precedent, right? So if these countries did it, then we need to defend ourselves as well. So whatever it is that is the enemy, we're going to go and do this, right? So again, remains to be seen how that is done if he so chooses to do it. But the other thing that could very well happen is that nothing will happen. Russia to remain neutral, to prevent war, and he is basically keen to the plan that these guys want, to instigate and to have a World War III type of scenario. It may be that there isn't a wild escalation or retaliation in some sort of sporadic way, because he doesn't want to play into this whole narrative that he is this, retaliatory, crazy guy. He is a loose cannon, blah, blah, blah. But rather that he wants to make sure that he's controlling the situation in a calm and poised way. And so, I mean, don't be surprised if there is some kind of attack, just like how there's strategic attacks right now for the Ukraine special military operation that's happening. There could be some things in different countries, who knows? But let's see what he does. And lastly, the world. With everything trending on, Twitter and other places, the Tajiks are coming out with this, the 4 Tajiks, the ISIS is resurfacing. It's trending on Twitter right now, the Middle East. And there's going to be this sort of, in my opinion, exposure, demonization, and further religious sort of chaos, whether it's a Christian versus Muslim. And again, if you saw the video, he says these words, other quotes, talking about Christianity and many other things. And it's going to spark, in some sense, a war among the religious sort of, I don't want to say extremists, but that side, right? It's just going to get uncomfortable. And this is also a biblical prophecy. Later on, once there is, if you want to talk about the Antichrist and just even the number 666 and how it also means, a lot of people believe the word for Islam and just this whole thing. And again, I'm not going to try to go there to instigate anything, but we know that there is tension here. And also, the radical extremists, they will do something to get you to submit and renounce Christianity. So this from a Revelation, book of Revelation and book of Daniel and just all this prophetic stuff will come to pass later in the future. And this is probably, in some sense, if you want to talk about kings of the north versus the south, and a lot of people talking about that with Russia, there's going to be something here that will definitely escalate way into the future. I don't believe right now exactly to the level that it will be global catastrophe, but at some point it should. So just pray about this and be careful, right? Be careful how you talk and discuss, and we have to obviously act in love and in a Christ-like manner, but there will be a time for which the Antichrist will have the power to overcome some of the saints, as Revelation talks about. So a lot is happening, but I wanted to just give you guys this quick update as we talk about what is happening as we go into Black Swan events, false flag events, and just everything happening in the world right now. So again, it's a massive operation. If you want to talk about more of the deeper conspiracy from the audience 3 perspective in terms of what's really going on. Russia, Trump, Xi Jinping, and just this whole cleanup of the global elite and how they're losing their control. And whatever this operation is, they're going to allow this grip from the CIA perspective, the 3-letter agencies, the wickedness that's happened, and this whole target against Christianity. We're going to see some of that disseminate. And so I believe we're in it's a tumultuous time. Okay, there's some bumpy roads ahead, but we are, in some sense, it's a necessary part of the evil. And Q has talked about a lot of this, and it's come to pass. And in the sense that whatever the operation is, whether you look at it as a movie, as some huge coordinated operation, and it's being slowly brought out, whatever that is, there's also a real war with real deaths, but also it's controlled in some sense. So be very weary, very careful of what is to come. So love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.